the cradle between worlds, early civilizations and forgotten cities. Between the eastern edge of Europe and the western slope of Asia lies a land not merely divided by continents, but fused by memory. This land is Anatolia, modern-day Turkey. To the untrained eye, it is a landscape of rolling hills, arid plains, and bustling cities. But beneath its surface lies a history so ancient, so foundational, that it bends the timeline of civilization itself. This land is more than a crossroads. It is a cradle between worlds, where humanity learned how to build, believe, and belong. Millennia before written language, before marble temples and golden thrones, communities here were shaping the earliest expressions of urban life, not as an accident, but as an evolutionary leap. Here, human settlement, religious devotion, and organized living emerged not from war or conquest, but from cooperation, art, and spiritual yearning. In the heart of Anatolia, along the Konya plain, a mound rises gently from the earth. From a distance, it seems unremarkable. But beneath it lies Çatalhöyük, one of the most significant archaeological sites in the world. Dating back to 7500 BCE, Çatalhöyük was more than a settlement, it was an early city. With no streets, no temples, and no palaces, its people lived in interconnected homes, entering through ladders on the roof. They cooked, slept, and worshipped in the same space, and they buried their dead beneath the floors of their homes. Each house was a microcosm, a self-contained world of hearth and ancestor, spirit and survival. The walls were adorned with painted murals, some depicting hunting scenes, others suggesting symbolic or ritualistic imagery, leopards, vultures, bulls, and perhaps goddesses. There was no royal class, no written law, no hierarchy carved in stone, only the silent suggestion of egalitarian living, spiritual cohesion, and intimate connection to the land. But even older than Çatalhöyük, and far more enigmatic, lies a site that shattered assumptions about the origins of religion and social organization. In the southeastern hills near Anlurfa stands Göbekli Tepe, a megalithic sanctuary that predates Stonehenge by over 6,000 years. Constructed around 9600 BCE, it was built by nomadic or semi-nomadic peoples, centuries before the advent of agriculture. Massive T-shaped limestone pillars, some weighing over 20 tons, were carefully quarried and placed in circular formations. Carved into these stones are animals, vultures, foxes, boars, snakes, and abstract symbols that may have once communicated cosmological ideas. And yet, no evidence of permanent settlement has been found. No tools, no agriculture, no dwellings. This was not a village. It was a temple, a gathering place of pilgrimage, ritual, and celestial alignment. The existence of Göbekli Tepe rewrites history. It suggests that spiritual expression preceded the birth of agriculture. That religion did not emerge from sedentary life, but perhaps inspired it. If Çatalhöyük was the world's first city, then Göbekli Tepe may have been its first cathedral. As millennia passed, the people of Anatolia grew more complex, their languages diversified, and their cultural tapestries wove tighter across the hills, coasts, and mountains. In the northwest, overlooking the strategic waterway now known as the Dardanelles, a real city was buried beneath myth. For centuries, the story of Troy was thought to be nothing more than Greek legend. A place of gods and heroes, love and betrayal. But in the late 19th century, archaeology vindicated the poets. The mound of Hisarlik revealed layer upon layer of human habitation, 9 cities built atop one another, spanning over 3,000 years of continuous life. Troy 6 and Troy 7, dating to around 1700 to 1200 BCE, likely correspond to the time of the legendary Trojan War. The city had imposing stone walls, towers, and gates. It traded with Mycenaean Greece and Anatolian states. It controlled the vital maritime link between the Aegean and the Black Sea, making it a coveted jewel in ancient geopolitics. Whether or not Helen ever stood on its towers, the city's ruins are real. And they tell a story of conflict, trade, and cultural fusion at the edge of 2 continents. In central Anatolia, another power was rising, this one not mythologized but documented in thousands of tablets, etched in cuneiform and clay. The Hittites, one of the great empires of the ancient Near East, emerged around 1600 BCE, establishing a capital at Hattusa, a city carved into the Anatolian rock, surrounded by defensive walls and sacred chambers. The Hittites were administrators, engineers, and warriors. They left behind legal codes, treaties, hymns, and ritual texts. They built temples to storm gods, chariot armies, and palatial archives that recorded one of history's first international peace treaties, the Treaty of Kadesh. Signed with Pharaoh Ramses II after a brutal conflict in what is now Syria. The Hittites fell around 1200 BCE in the Great Bronze Age collapse, but their legacy endured. Their script influenced later writing systems. Their diplomacy shaped future empires. And their architecture still whispers in the highlands they once ruled. Beyond the Hittites came a wave of cultures, the Phrygians, whose King Midas may have walked the border of fable and fact. The Luwians, who left hieroglyphic inscriptions in lost mountain sanctuaries. The Urartians, who built fortresses in the shadow of Mount Ararat. Each left their mark. Each added their verse. From the southern coast to the Anatolian plateau, these ancient peoples chiseled an unbroken story into the landscape. One of trade, migration, religious evolution, and human expression. This land, this cradle between worlds, was never a silent witness. It was an active stage, where humanity tested the earliest forms of everything we now consider civilization, spiritual belief, symbolic art, ritual burial, social organization, written language, architectural design, diplomacy, and scientific observation. Even today, as modern cities hum with electricity and echo with traffic, the ancient pulse still beats beneath. The bones of temples lie beneath olive groves. Forgotten gods sleep in cave altars. The geometry of sacred design re-emerge in modern architecture. And the questions these early people asked of the universe, about death, time, stars, and meaning, still hang in the air like incense. Anatolia is more than a map. It is memory in earth and stone. It is the place where human imagination became organized reality. Where we first turned chaos into cosmos, survival into society, and longing into legacy. This is the story not just of one land, but of the whole human experiment in becoming. This is the story of the cradle between worlds. Where civilization began not with conquest, but with creation.